Today is day 6 of your STAAR review, and in this video we're going to be talking about scatterplots. So looking at your folder, your foldable, I'm going to go ahead and open that up for us. You should have already glued this by looking at your the very first slide of this. But again, this foldable is going to be glued right here. I'm going to go ahead and wait to glue it until after I have finished doing the foldables. So again, we're looking at scatter plots. We're going to be drawing trend lines to make predictions of these graphs. So the way this works is we're going to open this up, and we're going to start off by looking at number 1 here. So let's go back to our Google slide. So number 1, which scatter plot below appears to not represent a linear relationship? So if I'm trying to see which one does not form a linear relationship, it should not follow a straight line. So looking at F, I see all my points right here. If I were to draw a line, it follows the line. So F is linear, so F cannot be my answer. Then I look at G. If I were to draw a line here, yes, my points are not exactly on the line, but it follows the direction of the line. So G does represent a linear relationship. If I look at H, I have my points scattered all over my my graph. So this here shows that this is not a linear relationship, and H should be my answer. So I'm going to put a little dot there. Let's go to J. Looking at J, I see my points are at a downward trend, and if I were to draw a line through those points, we see here that it does follow the line. So J is also does represent a linear relationship. So the only one that does not represent a linear relationship is going to be H. So now looking at your foldable, this is everything you should have written down on there. Okay. So then let's go ahead and we're going to look at number 2 now. So number 2 says an online social media company keeps track of how much time members spend using its website each day. The scatter plot compares the average amount of time some of their customers spend on the website per day compared to their age. Which statement appears to be correct based on this data? So looking at my points, I see that as the customer ages, the time they spend on the website goes down. So age up, usage down. So looking at my statements here, as the customer age increases, their daily use remains the same. So if that were the case, this is how my points would look. They'd be in a straight line, and that is not the case here. So B, as the customer age increases, their daily usage tends to increase. So here my graph would be at an upward trend, and again here it's at a downward trend. So B is incorrect. So again, as my X value increases, my Y value decreases. So C, as the customer's age increases, their daily usage tends to decrease. This is true. And then D, there is no relationship between a customer's age and their daily usage. So for D, the statement, our scatter plot would just look like a whole bunch of dots scattered everywhere. So again, C is our answer. So looking at our foldable now, this is everything you should have written down for number 2. So now we're going to go ahead and close this foldable, and we're going to go ahead and open it the other way now. So we're going to start off with number 3. So number 3 now, 5 months of weather data for a town comparing the average high temperature that month with the amount of monthly precipitation are shown on the scatter plot. Based on the information, what is the closest estimate for the monthly precipitation if the average monthly high temperature is 85 degrees Fahrenheit? So here, I'm going to go ahead and draw my trend line. Now, a trend line goes through the majority of your points. So if I were to draw my trend line, this is what it would look like. It would look something like this. And again, I'm looking for the amount of precipitation at 85 degrees Fahrenheit. So looking at my labels here, I see this side is my precipitation, this side is my temperature. So I'm going to go to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. So I see 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. This must be 85. So I'm going to go up and hit my trend line. This is where it hits my trend line, and then I want to see how much inches of precipitation have fallen. So going here, I see that the amount of rainfall is going to be 6 inches, which is D. So now looking at number 3 on your foldable, this is everything you should have written down. And now we're going to go ahead and take a look at number 4. So number 4 says a farmer keeps track of the number of eggs laid by her chickens compared to the chicken's age. The result is shown below. Based on this data, how many eggs might a 7-year-old chicken be expected to produce? So again, here we're just going to draw our trend line. And here I see that my trend line is going downward. So I want to know how many eggs might be produced from a 7-year-old chicken. So here on the bottom we have the age of the chicken, and on the left side, our Y, we have the number of legs laid. So I'm looking for a 7-year-old chicken, and I want to go up and I want to hit my trend line. I'm going to go ahead and change our color here so it'd be a little bit easier for us to see. So I'm going to go up here, and I see I hit my trend line right here. In order to find out how many eggs that is, I need to go over to the left, and I see that that's about 75 eggs laid annually. So here my answer is going to be B. So now taking a look at your foldable, this is everything you should have written down for number 4. And lastly, we're going to go ahead and look at numbers 5 and 6. So for number 5, it says a ski instructor asked her students to keep track of the number of times they fell down during an hour. She compared that to the instruction hours they have received. Based on this estimate, what appears to be the best estimate of the number of times a student skier might fall down in an hour after receiving 8 hours of instruction. So on the bottom, we have the amount of hours that a skier has received an instruction and the amount of times they fell. I'm going to go ahead and start off by drawing our trend line. So again, our trend line should just go through the majority of our points, and it goes through it about right there. So now looking at, I'm trying to find how many hours a skier might have fallen down after receiving 8 hours of instruction. So here I have 8 hours, so I'm going to see where that hits on my trend line. So going up, it hits my trend line at about right here. And in order to find out the amount of hours that, to find out the amount of falls that skier had, I'm going to have to look at my y-axis. So I'm going to go over, and here I now see that after 8 hours of instruction, a skier will only fall 4 times. So here that means that A is going to be my answer. Again, I just want to stress to you, it's very important that you read these labels, because some of you might have came over here and you might have read this reading the amount of hours of instruction as your Y and the amount of times they fell as X, and then you would have gotten your answer mixed up. So it's very important that you're reading these labels. And again, just looking at your foldable, this is everything you should have written down for number 5. And then we're just going to go ahead and take a look at the last example, which is number 6. So number 6 says a doctor's office records the height and weight of patients during annual physicals. Some data for males is plotted below. Which of these appears to be the best prediction for a patient's height if they are 76 inches tall? So again, we're going to go ahead and start off by drawing our trend line. This is how our trend line might look. And again, I'm looking for the patient's weight if they are 76 inches tall. So going to my my graph here, I see that the patient's height is my X value and their weight is the Y value. So going to 76, I have 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, and here I have 75. And this should just be slightly to the right of it. So at about right here is where 76 is. And I'm going to go up, and I kind of want to see where this will hit my trend line. So going up, it hits at about right there. Now going to my Y, if I go over to the left, it should show me what their weight should be at about. So it should be at about right here, so slightly above 200. So it should not be 175 or 160, because again, my graph is my point is over 200, and I would say this point is closer to 200 than it is to 250, which would be about 245. So F is also incorrect, and the only one that makes sense here would be H, which would be at about 210 pounds. So now looking at your foldable, So again, just looking at your foldable, this is everything you should have written down for number 6, and that was Scatterplots. So go ahead and glue this down. Once you have watched the video going over proportional or not, then you're good to go with today's assignment. And if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to one of your teachers.